Now, corporate media is continuing to pressure Bernie Sanders into dropping out of the race by using a narrative that the math is impossible. Oh, you've heard it before, right? Math's impossible. He's not going to get the math. It's the math, stupid. Feel the math. Bernie, you might as well drop out now because, according to the math, you've got no chance. Despite a bunch of states, including the country's largest state, California, having yet to vote. Well, what's the matter? You don't want Californians to have a voice? Maybe it has something to do with the math, but I'll get to that. Now, nothing illustrates this pressure to drop out more than on CNN, where New Day anchor Allison Camerota is going to have Nina Turner on, which is the former Ohio State Senator and Sanders surrogate. Well, she's going to have her on to explain how the Sanders campaign is going to promote party unity. Now, that's essentially code for, so when are you going to give up and endorse Hillary Clinton? Now, I'm going to show you this video, and then I'm going to comment on the math.
Numbers crunchers say that Hillary Clinton will have the nomination locked up, mathematically speaking, by this coming Tuesday, and early in the night Tuesday, by the way, before even the polls close in California. So then what is Bernie Sanders' plan for the following day?
Well, it's what he's been saying from the beginning, newsflash, that he is in this through the convention. And, he's been saying this from the beginning. When he started this race, he was only 3% in the polls. And look at him now. He's won about 46% of the pledged delegates in this country, 21 contests. So Senator Sanders is going all the way to the convention. So nothing has changed. And I want you guys to roll this tape next Tuesday when you have me on, because I'm going to say the same thing, that Senator Sanders is going to continue in this race because he has millions of folks who have already voted for him. And we still have millions of folks in this country who have yet to vote. And it's not over on Tuesday, contrary to what the media wants to say. It's far from over.
Look, here's why we say it's over on Tuesday. It's the math, okay? So Clinton needs, right now, 9% left of the remaining delegates. He needs 107% of the remaining delegates. There's not a poll in the world that shows Bernie Sanders getting 107% of the remaining delegates, Nina. And so...
Are you counting the superdelegates?
We're counting the superdelegates because that's the system that he agreed to. The superdelegates are counted.
Okay, so hold on here. That last part, well, that's what he agreed to. That's the system. Well, I want to address that later, but first, the numbers. Oh, she only needs 9%, where he needs 107%, and there's no poll out there that has him getting 107% of the remaining delegates. Go home, Bernie Sanders. Go home. Well, you know what? That's actually wrong. That's factually incorrect when you actually run the math. Now, once again, CNN, as Nina Turner points out, is counting the superdelegates. Now, superdelegates don't vote until the convention. They're technically unpledged delegates who say it's more like a poll. They're unpledged, even if they say, well, I feel like I want to vote for Hillary Clinton. Well, that's essentially a poll, which means they shouldn't count. And since they're unpledged, technically, they can switch all the way until their vote at the convention. But here's what CNN is doing. CNN and Hillary Clinton supporters are saying, no. Feel the math. Feel the math. Oh, you want some math, do you? I have some math for you, and I'm going to break down some numbers here. Now, Hillary Clinton currently has 1,769 pledged delegates. That's those delegates that she has won in the different contests in the different states, the primaries and caucuses that we've had so far, right? 1,769 pledged delegates. Now, that's compared to Bernie Sanders' 1,501 pledged delegates across the 21 different contests that he has won so far. A candidate needs 2,382 delegates to clinch the nomination. But wait a minute, I thought Allison Camerota said that she needs 9% of all remaining pledged delegates to clinch the nomination. That really doesn't add up. And see, there are between now and the end of the primary 781 pledged delegates left through the various remaining primaries and caucuses. Now that means Hillary Clinton needs 613 of the remaining 781 pledged delegates left to win. Now, that does not include the superdelegates. Because, as I said, they do not vote until they have the convention. Which means the superdelegates right now are more like a poll of how Democratic Party insiders and lobbyists, which is what makes up the majority of superdelegates, where they intend to vote as of right now. Basically, when it comes to math, and you want math, because apparently CNN seems utterly incapable of doing actual math. Clinton needs 78.5% of the remaining pledged delegates to win the nomination. CNN, you are lying. You are bullshitting us. Bullshit. Now, does that mean that I think the superdelegates are just going to back Bernie Sanders? No. No. What I'm saying is, and what I'm pointing out, is that the media narrative is misleading. It is misleading. Hillary Clinton has not won the nomination. No, she is not about to win the nomination. She does not need 9%. She needs 78.5% of the remaining delegates. And that means Bernie Sanders is not that far behind. He still needs a lot of delegates to win. And what it looks like is that neither candidate is going to get the requisite number of delegates before the convention. Both sides have to do a blowout. Now, Bernie Sanders has to do better because he is behind. But Hillary Clinton has to get a lot of the remaining delegates. Most likely, she'll win New Jersey. It'll be close in California. Bernie Sanders might do better in South Dakota and some of the other remaining states. I don't think either side is going to get a blowout. I think it's going to be close. But here's the thing, right? Clinton has more delegates. But as I said, neither candidate is going to get enough to clinch the nomination. This will go to a contested convention, which scares the crap out of the media and the Clinton campaign and the Democratic Party. Now, this is the same media that was giddy about the idea of the Republican Party having a messy contested convention. Oh, look at the Republicans. Boy, get your popcorn out, because Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and Marco Rubio or whoever, they're going to have a contested convention. Yeah, it turns out wasn't the case at all. Donald Trump Donkey Konged everybody in the head and took home the prize. Now the same situation that they were laughing about for the Republican side is most likely going to happen on the Democratic side. And now that scares the crap out of them. That's why there's this push to get Bernie Sanders out of the race. Go, get out. We don't want to contest the convention. You're going to lose anyway. Get out. Here, have some influence here. We're gonna let you pick some people to draft the Democratic platform. And he picked some very progressive voices. That would be Keith Ellison and Brother Cornel West and Bill McKibben to help draft the Democratic platform. They're hoping to, kind of mollify Sanders and his supporters by saying, okay, you have some influence, now you can drop out. No. His goal remains clear. Get as many delegates as he can so he can go to the convention and try to convince the superdelegates. And of course, I'll get to that later. Now, you got to be wondering, with all this happening, why is CNN so gung-ho about misleading their viewers in order to convince Bernie Sanders to drop out? You got to wonder. But anyway, this whole discussion is about math. I have more math for you. The number 12. That's the number of FBI agents investigating Hillary Clinton right now. You want more numbers? I got more numbers. 43% to 45%. That's the latest CNN poll of Clinton versus Trump. It's almost a statistically dead heat between the two candidates, within the margin of error. 10. That is the average Real Clear Politics number that Bernie Sanders is beating Trump by in national polls. How about 3 million? Hillary Clinton supporters will come back with that number. Well, that's the number of votes Hillary Clinton claims to be ahead by. Well, now, here's the thing. Caucus results are not the same as primary results. They don't count individual votes. You see, when there's a caucus, the candidate with the most representatives in the room wins that district, and the candidate which wins the most districts wins the state. One feature of this different method of primary is that actual individual votes are not gathered. It's not like a normal primary. So no votes actually go to the winning candidate. It's all about representatives inside the caucus. Now, Sanders did really well in caucus states. He ended up having more representatives, a more motivated representatives that showed up to caucus. Because look, man, caucuses can take all day. However, even if he sweeps a caucus state, that doesn't actually add to his individual popular vote numbers. Now, that's one reason that I don't like caucuses. To me, they seem rather undemocratic. I would like to get rid of the caucus system and replace it with a primary system. However, that also means that Clinton can't claim to have more popular votes when the primary/caucus system, as it stands, doesn't give you an entirely accurate popular vote count. So look, the number sounds nice. It's a good soundbite. It's a good narrative that Hillary Clinton can say, oh, look, I'm 3 million votes ahead. When really, we don't really know. It doesn't mean a lot because it's not an accurate number. Now, I've got another number for you. 712. That is the total number of superdelegates that's up for grabs. In order to win, Bernie Sanders needs to convince the superdelegates to back him instead of Hillary Clinton. Now, you might be saying, isn't that really kind of hypocritical to go after the superdelegates, especially since early in the campaign you were so critical of them? Well, he was pointing out the problem, pointing out how 400 superdelegates immediately said that they were going to back Clinton. That's a little fishy, right? Well, the same thing happened back in 2008. But here's the thing. It's not hypocritical in a way because it's the only chance either of them will win. Both of them have to appeal to the superdelegates. If you want to win the nomination, that's kind of the only shot. And look, it's a long one, right? But remember, most superdelegates backed Hillary Clinton back in 2008 until they switched. Now, I realize that it's not the same situation. I'm not trying to say it is. Obama ended up having a delegate lead by the time they switched, whereas Sanders, he doesn't. So that gets me to this criticism. Bernie Sanders is asking the superdelegates to overturn the will of the voters. Remember, they claim that 3 million voters, she's got 3 million more votes than he does, and so if he appeals to superdelegates, and that appeal is successful, well, that overturns the will of the voters. Now, the same people who make this argument forget that this is why superdelegates were created in the first place. This entire system, like it or not, and trust me, I don't, but this system was put in place to prevent another candidate from going the way of George McGovern, someone who was popular within the party, who won the nomination, who had more delegates, but ended up being a very weak general election candidate. And I believe that the nomination of Hillary Clinton is what the superdelegates were actually intended to stop. Now, I'm not saying this just because I support Bernie Sanders. I'm saying this because I really don't want Donald Trump. If the poll numbers were reversed and Bernie Sanders was doing the same against Donald Trump as Hillary Clinton is right now, if the roles were reversed, well, I would support the stronger candidate against Donald Trump. I'd be like, hey, Bernie, it's a good run, man. But let's support the stronger candidate. Unfortunately for Clinton, that's not her. That is Bernie Sanders. He is the stronger candidate against Donald Trump. If you want to beat Trump, you support Sanders. And there's a mountain of polls that shows Clinton losing ground against Donald Trump. First, she had a huge lead, 10 points, 12 points, down to 5, now dead heat. While Bernie Sanders has crushed him by double digits every time. You want to ignore polls? Fine, ignore them at your own peril. But if you do that, you may just end up with Donald Trump. And that's the case that Bernie Sanders has to make to the superdelegates. And as I said, I don't like that system. I don't like the superdelegate system, but he is playing within the rules that he agreed to and that were set up by the party. You can criticize those rules while also playing by them. And speaking of the party, right? And this is my final point on this, to kind of circle back around to CNN. Now remember, the DNC had told the media, CNN, to stop using the superdelegates in their delegate counts. You just saw that they completely ignored that rule. And you have to wonder why that is. Maybe it's because the corporate media is lying to you. Maybe it's because there's some sort of profit in it. But they're doing so, in doing so, they're losing those younger viewers. And when it comes to that point, CNN is going to end up feeling that math. And that's not going to be pretty. So keep on doing what you're doing, CNN. We'll see what happens.